what I've got here is there were three websites that were submitted, and I'm going to do a sort of whistle-stop tour through them, just picking out sort of what I think are the top 2 or 3 things which would be pretty easy to change or update on each site, but which would have quite a big impact on the number of inquiries that site generated and its overall effectiveness. So I'm not trying to suggest that anyone gets a complete website redesign. I'm just saying there are certain things you could change and improve, which would have an impact on what we call in the trade the conversion rate, i.e. what percentage of people who come to the site go on to do something you want them to do, like phone you up or put in an inquiry. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to start with this one. Hopefully you can all see River Bookkeeping on the screen now. So I'm going to start with this one. Now just a word of warning before I start. I will probably end up saying more about this one than the others. That's not because this one's particularly worse than the others. It's just that the things that the sites have issues with, there's a lot of them are in common. So there might be things where I talk about it in a bit more detail on the first one and then just refer back to it on the others. So so if you're on here from River Bookkeeping, you're worrying that I'm going to talk about yours for longer than the others, that's the only reason why. Okay. So the first thing that hit me when I came onto this site, it's one of my sort of pet peeves that I've talked about a lot over the years, is this message here, this welcome bit over here. Now, you still see this quite a lot on websites. That what you've got here is this part of the page is, if you think of it as like a plot of land, this is one of the most valuable bits of land on your website. So it should be used for something really powerful and impactful, because that's the first thing that's going to hit people when they arrive on the site. And it's quite a common thing that people use that really valuable piece of space and waste it on a fairly sort of, valueless phrase like welcome or welcome to our website. And it's a strange thing because the people who put welcome to our website or welcome on there, I bet if you were to send out a mail shot, or you were to put a poster up in the newsagent or whatever it is you were doing, you wouldn't say welcome to our poster or welcome to our mail shot. But for some reason, when people are doing this stuff on a website, they go sort of super polite, and it's almost like kind of welcome to our home kind of thing. So the biggest thing that could be improved here would be to change this welcome headline and actually have something there that something called a value proposition. And a value proposition is basically something that sums up who you are and what you do and how you add value. And the reason that's so important is, as I'm sure you've heard said, people, when they arrive on your website, they make up their mind very, very quickly as to whether they're going to stay or whether they're going to go. I think the latest figure I saw quoted was like 2.7 seconds is the amount of time you've got to make the correct impression. And in that 2.7 seconds, people, whether they realize it or not, the people visiting your site have got 3 questions in their mind. And those questions are, where am I? What can I do here? And why should I stick around and do it? And your value proposition needs to answer those 3 questions within that crucial couple of seconds, so as people stay. And with the best will in the world, welcome to our website doesn't do any of those things. So if you look at my website, for example, my website's their value propositions are something like digital marketing consultancy for financial services professionals who want to get more leads and more clients, or that's the rough wording of it. Because so what I'm doing now, I'm making it very clear what I do, digital marketing consultancy, who I do it for, financial services professionals, and crucially, what they get out of it, which is the more leads, more inquiries, more clients, and ultimately more profits. See, so it's encapsulating that in that sort of 1 or 2 sentences. So that's a big thing that would be needed there. And then that kind of follows through to the rest of what's on the site. That the rest of the site should then build on the value proposition and should talk about the benefits of using your service. And that's particularly important with a service like bookkeeping or accountancy, where, and I have this same conversation with mortgage brokers and with lawyers and whatever. In the line of work you're in, you're basically all offering essentially the same services. One bookkeeper doesn't have access to a different set of VAT rules from another bookkeeper. right? You're all working to the same framework. Well, hopefully you are. So the only thing that differentiates one person from another is, really them and their service. And that's what needs to come across in the site. But what we've got here is it's all what we can do for you. So we can do bookkeeping, we can do payroll, but so can every other site like this that the person would have looked at before or after they come to your one. What you need to have instead is explain why these things are needed and what the benefit is to the client of getting you to do, for example, their VAT returns as submission to HMRC rather than doing it themselves. Now, those benefits could be things like saving time. It could be things like avoiding getting it wrong and getting penalties. There's all sorts of things there. But the starting point for this is to think, who is my ideal client? And really try and get very specific with that, down to a particular kind of business or profession and a particular situation they're in. And what are their headaches? What keeps them awake at night? Now, maybe what keeps them awake at night is the fact that they've got a cardboard box full of receipts sitting in the corner of their office that they've never done anything with, and they know they really should do, but they just don't know where to begin with it or don't have the time. That's their problem. And then so talk about their problem and then come in with the solution that you offer to fix that problem and why they should come and get that solution from you rather than anybody else. Maybe it's because you specialize in doing bookkeeping for dentists, for example, if that's who you're targeting. But hopefully, see from that, it's more than just saying, here's a list of what we do. It's here's the problem you've got, here's the solution we offer, and these are the benefits of working with us. So those are the main things I would say on that bit. And obviously that, carries through to the rest of the site. Sometimes it's not so much the case on this one, but just a sort of tip for some of the others of you. Very often you look on someone's About Us page and you find that in there, all those things about the benefits and everything are actually hidden in the About Us page. And so sometimes creating the value proposition is really just a case of going through your About Us page and pulling the USPs and the benefits out of there, because actually there is more stuff here. Here with the fact that you'll attend meetings with clients and accountants, and we start to get into a bit of sort of the personalities of the people behind the business and that kind of thing. But not everyone's going to dig that far into the site, so it needs to come out on the homepage. Only other thing I would say quickly on this one is on the Contact Us page. There is a word missing there. Contact us too if we can help. I guess that should be to see if we can help. So really important to look, particularly if you're in a profession with something like bookkeeping requires attention to detail. So definitely go through the site with a fine tooth and get someone else to read it, because they'll spot the mistakes that you haven't far more easily.
Hey, David, can I just add to that? There's something that's we never do. Well, not a bit. Do you check that actually your contact page is still working? I emailed someone the other day, never got it, and I had to message them on Facebook, because sometimes you think, we just put the contact page up and we forget about it. Is it still working? Just every now and again, maybe once a month, set in your calendar, just test your contact page, because it's terrible.
Very good point. I mean, this contact page appears to work because I put in a test inquiry about half an hour ago, and one of the nice things was, it did actually then come back and say, thanks for your inquiry, we'll get back to you. I think it was within 48 hours. But that's a really important thing as well. A lot of the ones you look at, you submit the form, and then it's like, oh, what now? Did they receive it? What happens next? Am I going to get a call back in an hour, in a week? So setting the client expectations is really important as well. So that's one of the things this form does well. Okay, right. We'll move on to the next one. So this is back to black bookkeeping, right? So, very high impact site. I think it's on that sort of the red and black color scheme is quite striking. Lots of imagery going on and everything. So it catches my attention from that point of view. The two biggest issues for me here are very distracting. Having this carousel or slider of images they're another pet hate of mine. I wrote a whole blog article about carousels and sliders. That's how much I hate them. So I'll send you a link to that, Simon. You can send it around after. But so it's a bit too much going on, a bit too quickly. I'm distracted by the images and the movement rather than focusing on what's written here. And again, it comes down to the value proposition would be the thing that would make this site, would do the most for this site, because we've got lots of words appearing here. Profit first. I saw accountancy and bookkeeping. So it's answering the question of where am I? You know, I'm in a place that does bookkeeping and accountancy, but it's not really ticking that box of what can I do here and why should I stay around and do it? Because like Amazon sellers, well, what about them? Are you an Amazon seller? Are you going to help me become an Amazon seller? So at the moment, they're just kind of words just thrown at me. And okay, yeah, I can click to learn more, but is that to learn more about becoming an Amazon seller then? Or is it to learn more about what you can do for me as an Amazon seller? Now, once we get down, I like the overall, I like the sort of, I'm immediately struck by the kind of the friendly tone of the site, and it's a little bit different, a little bit quirky. You can feel a bit of personality in there, you know, with things like the chief tea maker and you know, they're not all boring corporate-looking photos of people, you know, in a suit and tie against their office wall. So I like that kind of. I'm feeling already these people are more friendly than a lot of the sites I might have looked at. So that's good. Once I start going through to, okay, so let's suppose I've come here, you know, and I want to get some bookkeeping done. So I go to services and I go here. I would say the biggest issue we've got is the style of things changes a little bit. We've suddenly lost that kind of friendly air a bit. That was on the homepage, but we're back to kind of fairly standard now. But there's no call to action. And again, the call to action is something which will apply, I think, to all the sites we're looking at here. What do you want people to do next? So I've arrived on this page. I've read about this. I've read about the VAT bit. So yeah, we can help you traverse this journey. Blah blah blah. Great. Help me. So how do we get started traversing this journey then? What do we do? Don't know. Not sure. Or maybe I have to go to the contact page. You've got to make these things as easy as possible for people. So assume that everyone coming to your site is either A, really lazy, B, really stupid and can't work out what to do next, or C, both of the above. So on that basis, what you should have here is a call to action button that says, you know, find out more about our VAT service, or, you know, or start, or get in touch about your VAT problems, or, you know, whatever wording is appropriate, but there should be something there. So if I've read that and thought, yeah, I like that, the next logical thing is I click the button that's there, rather than having to hunt around up here or scroll down to the bottom of the page and, oh yeah, but see, there's a tiny get in touch down there, but a lot of people aren't going to make the effort to do that. So a much stronger call to action would be good. And contact form. Yeah, the only thing on contact form, I didn't actually test this one. This was the only one I didn't test, but I know why you're asking what the capital city of England is, but because it's in there to stop spam bots filling in the form, because spam bots aren't going to know the answer to that question. But it just feels from the human point of view a little bit of a non sequitur. So I'm going through filling this in almost on autopilot, you know, name, email, phone number. I know those off the top of my head because I fill those in so many forms day in, day out. Capital City of England. And again, even if it's only subconscious, I think, why are you asking me that? Why do you want to know? Is this a trick question? Because I was going to say London, but maybe you're trying to catch me out. Maybe it's not London. Maybe that's the capital of the UK, and the capital of England is something different, maybe. You know, so you don't want someone going off down that kind of rabbit hole of random thoughts just at the moment when they were about to take that final step and send you a message. So think about whether that's really worth having that there. Would it be better actually to get more inquiries and a few spam ones rather than have something that's putting people off? And if you do want an anti-spam thing, go for what's called Google Recapture, which is the one you'll have seen on lots of sites where literally all you do is tick a box and it knows from that you're a human, not a robot. And then the final one, RT Accountancy Services. Really nice, striking design again. This is just personal preference, but I particularly like this kind of color scheme. It feels very non-corporate, which appeals to me, because I don't do corporate, and corporate doesn't do me either, really. But anyway, so again, value proposition on here is better. It's quite clear what they're offering. They're doing financial services and who it's for, domestic and corporate clients, and what their kind of focus is, what the niche is. It's focusing on the local service within Leicestershire. But again, what's missing is the why should I stay and find out more on this particular site. as we go down, very clear what's on offer. In some ways, actually a bit clearer what's on offer here than it was on the Back to Black one, because the Back to Black one has this whole kind of systemized approach and stuff, which is good. I'm a fan of systems, but sometimes you also need to explain it in the words that the person's actually going to be searching for and and looking for on the site. Again, we've got welcome. See previous comments on welcome. And it's very we focused. So let me just shift everybody out of the way over to there. So it's we do this, and we can do the budgeting. Again, it's not starting from the client end of the problems they've got and the solutions that you provide. Get a free consultation. This is one of the better inquiry forms because it actually tells me what I'm going to get as a result of filling it in. And the get in touch message there is a bit friendlier than just send. If we go to this about us here, I feel this is a weak about us page because it doesn't really have any information about you. So it's just saying what it is. So there's nothing there about the people behind it or any of the reasons really why. And again, this that looks like a testimonial quote at first actually turns out not to be a testimonial quote, but just a quote from the director. So that's that jarred a little bit as not being quite what I expected to see in that particular space. And then if we go to the services pages, so go to the accounts, and we need a lot more content here, or not just a lot more, kind of the right kind of content. So again, it's why do I need this? We also offer company secretarial services to assist you with blah, 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 blah. But why do I need that? What's the reason for having that? You're assuming that I know what that is and why I need it. So I would say, but where you're talking about this, you should be saying things like, when you're running a limited company, there's a lot of stuff to do. You've got to do annual returns. You've got to do provide P60s for people. You've got to do all this, and it's a pain in the bum. And if you don't do it, you can get fined. And there's and you're much better off therefore just paying us a few quid to deal with it for you. So that's the kind of the way to approach that, I think. And again, have stronger calls to action, and also that sort of really nice striking design from the homepage. Carry that kind of thing through here because it's suddenly all gone a bit duller and more corporate once we get through to here. So overall, and the only other thing I had on this one, found my notes from earlier, is I think although there's a strong call to action of get a free consultation, that comes a bit too early. So basically, you've not really told me very much about yourself or what you're offering, but straight away you're then expecting me to tell you my name, my email, my phone, my inside leg measurement, everything like that. And we're not really at that stage yet. So to use an analogy, it's like in the old days when you could go to pubs and meet people and all that kind of thing. If you just bumped into someone at the bar, you might get chatting and then ask them out on a date, but you wouldn't ask them to move in with you that first time you met them. That would be asking for too much too soon. And in the same way here, by going straight from a tiny bit of information to get a consultation, that's asking for too much too soon, because I don't know what I'm going to get out of this consultation. How long is it going to last? Where's it going to happen? Is it going to be on the phone? Is it going to be in person? There's a lot of questions buzzing around in my head, and until they're answered, I'm not going to feel so comfortable filling in this form. So that's very much a whistle-stop tour. Just to quickly recap on them, I think the biggest thing on the first one, on River Bookkeeping, I would say the main things there are get rid of welcome, have a value proposition, and make the copy of the site, the content, more benefit-led and solving problems. On Back to Black, the main things there, again, value proposition. And I've got an article on my website about how to create a value proposition. So again, I'll send that to Simon for you guys to get afterwards. Really have a think about that carousel thing and whether that's a good idea or not. The answer is it's not, but have a think about it anyway. And stronger calls to action. And then on the one we've just looked at on RT, I would say the main things there, again, value proposition, and just describe the services a bit better in terms of the benefits of having those services. So see, as I said, there's a lot of common things, across all of them. And I suspect any of you who haven't been part of this review, I suspect if you go and look at your own sites now with those kind of things in mind, if you have an honest look at them, you'll probably find similar kinds of issues on yours. And do also make sure that Google Analytics is on your site, because if you're looking to improve your websites, you can't improve something that you haven't measured. So make sure Google Analytics is on your site. It's not on River Bookkeeping, and on Back to Black it's there, but seems to be misconfigured. It seems to be on there twice. Google Analytics measures all the traffic to your site, and if it's set up properly, it will tell you how many of your visitors convert, i.e. how many make an inquiry. Once you can start measuring that, you can start taking steps to improve it. But without that, it's like saying to a client, how are you going to improve your turnover or your profit next year when previously they've never actually measured what their turnover or profit is this year. So hope that's useful. If anyone's got any questions, then fire away.
Brilliant, David. Thank you very much. If you you stop sharing now, that's excellent. Yeah, brilliant. Excellent. Yeah, no, really, really good value that. It's amazing when you look back. There's a book. It's quite old now. I just pulled this off and you can see that. It's called Don't Make Me Think. It's about 20 years old now, but it's by a guy called Steve Krug. Really simple stuff. But yeah, it's just don't make people think. And you're right on that. The amount of seconds people. I think it used to be between 3 to 5 seconds or 3 to 7 seconds. But someone did a study and they said, well, women who look at a website, they take 10 seconds because obviously you've got more patience than those blokes. But it's so true. And what happens, I find as well, when a designer, I used to run a design company, so I was guilty of this. When they present something to you, you're looking at it in its own and as a singularity almost. You think, oh, it's wonderful. But then if you were to say, okay, we'll put it in the competition. So let's look at your website with all the other ones around, and you're flicking through them. Does yours actually stand out? As David said, that value proposition at the beginning, stuff like that. It's really, really key. So brilliant. What I'll do for the people who listen to this on the recording, I will save that section, David, if that's okay, as a video, and put that on the notes so you can listen to that and watch it again rather. We'll load it up on YouTube, but it'll be on a hidden link. You won't be able to find it on YouTube, but you'll be able to find it on the Coffee Morning link. So I think it's some really valuable stuff on there. David Superstar, thank you very much. Any questions? Lots of love coming through.
I must say that did make me laugh. Simon did my website for Women Account, and we've got lots of carousel pictures going on. So
yes,
make me smile.
I've got 2 on mine as well, actually.
A lot of people disagree with my views on carousels, so maybe Simon and I can have an argument afterwards.
And also, I just wanted to pick up too, that second website you looked at, Back to Black. There's is that person on the website today?
Gary, I don't think so. Gary, are you there? Come in, Gary. I don't know if he is actually.
Joyce is here, and she's
really.
I can see in the chat.
Joyce is there, yeah.
Website. It was what I picked up on there. I believe what that second website was trying to push was there's a book called Profit First, and it's a completely unique way of dealing with your finances. So the premise of the book is explaining a concept that there's that you should have 5 bank accounts set up. One, so you have your current account, but you should keep that with as little money in as possible, because then you run your business really tight. There's an analogy that says, when you get to the end of your toothpaste tube, and at the beginning you don't care. So, when you get to the end, you continue to squeeze that last bit out. So that's how you should be running your current account. And then you obviously have your savings, or your VAT, so you have a VAT account, you'd have your corporation tax. But most importantly, the concept is that you should have a profit account, and you should take between 1% and 3% of any money that comes into your bank account should be siphoned off to your savings account, so that you're actually physically got your profits. Because I have had many, many conversations with clients going, okay, so you go through their accounts at the end of the year or the profit, and they go, well, there's £10,000 profit there. I haven't got £10,000. So it's because I've spent it on something else, or it's got, that money's got wrapped up in cash flow. But so the concept of this is that you take that profit out so you can physically see it. So I think that's quite unique. And I know you can be a reseller for that principle and go and train it. So actually that's the big missing point in that second website. They should be screaming and shouting that they're actually promoting a completely unique way of presenting their bookkeeping, because
and when I said they've got some kind of system, that's the thing I was referring to. I hadn't read it in detail, but that sounds really quite interesting the way you've just described, but I didn't pick any of that up from a quick look at their homepage.
No, Sarah, that sounds like, have you ever read the book The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clayson?
No, I haven't, but I know
I would recommend everybody read that. It's fantastic. It's taken from, supposedly they found these tablets from Babylonian times, and they deciphered it, and it was telling, essentially it was and it still stands true today. Every bit of money that comes in, you take money for yourself first, and you at least 10%, and you reinvest that, and it's a compound interest over it as well. It's a brilliant book. There was a guy who worked for something like Amtrak or whatever, just a guy who was just dealing with parcels, but he used the same principle, and by the time he died, he was worth millions. Obviously didn't spend it. It was a bit of a shame, but anyway, but yeah, that sounds like a similar thing, Sarah.
Yeah, no, there's lots, but I think as bookkeepers, we could be quite unique as well if we want to, just and follow some of these principles, and and use that to help our clients.
Yeah.
And so quite a few questions coming through. I don't
Rachel said, brilliant. Jennifer has said, thank you, David. I've made lots of notes. Rachel, brilliant, David. I went through the website, needed upgrading. I agree, it needs more contact rather. Joe, thank you, David. That was very helpful. Joyce, thank you, David. Really helpful. I only published the website on Friday. I will change the homepage, and I've added the missing word. Elaine, thank you, David. Really useful stuff. Jason knows Gary, so maybe give him a nudge to say, oh, listen to the recording. Because there's a video as well, it will go on later today. Elena has said, Boris Lavra said, thank you, David. Yeah, Elena has said, I have read Profit First. The concept is really good, and it can help clients saving. Perhaps IAB could help with a discount from Profit First, as their membership and training is quite expensive. Yeah, maybe we could look into that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Katie said, thanks, David. I don't have a website yet and found this very useful and motivating for me to get it done. Any tips for getting started with it, platforms to use? I would say WordPress, but go on.
Yes, I would say WordPress as well. So we've agreed on something now, Simon. That's good.
Oh,
I have to be nice to Simon. He's interviewing me for a podcast very soon.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I would say WordPress, and because if you want to do it yourself, it's really quite straightforward, and B, if you want to get professional help, pretty much every web designer can deal with WordPress. Over half the world's websites are built on it. Any tips for getting started with it? Yes, on my website there's a huge guide which you can read online or download as a PDF called Build Your Own Lead Generating Website for under 500 quid. I'll include that in the links as well.
Yeah, can you just give the link out now, David, for people who are listening to the recording?
No, because I don't know off the top of my head.
If you know the own website.
I'll tell you how, if you go to theppcmachine.co.uk/CRO, then that will take you to the conversion rate optimization section, and the lead article on there is the Build Your Own Website one, or one of the articles on there is the Build Your Own Website one. I'll put it in the chat. So
theppcmachine.co.uk, yeah?
Yeah, I'll stick it in the chat now.
Excellent. So I'll put those links on here. So we've got 15 minutes before we wave goodbye, and I say my silly exit line, which I enjoy researching. If anyone ever used to listen to I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue with Humphrey Littleton, or in fact the new version now with Jack D, I like to call them he used to do these exit lines, which is really good. Right, so David, yeah, you put that link on that. I will put that on the PDF, and obviously the link to the video of you going through those websites. But that was really, really helpful. It is amazing. A lot of the time when you don't take a step back and look at your own website, you just put it out there. And it's good to do. It's also getting other people to go through it as well. Can you operate it? Can you find what you need quickly? So that was really helpful. Any questions? Questions on anything Sarah shared earlier? Or any information you want to share really about the scams or anything really?
Or I'm happy if you, David, want to have a look at Women Who Count's website and have a quick look at that. If that have a line.
You've got loads of links on there. Yeah.
I'll put all three on there now. So I missed what you were saying there, Sarah, because I was copying and pasting.
I didn't know whether you want to put my website up and have a quick look. and have a live dissection?
Yes, I can do literally a 5-minute look on it because I've got to shoot off in about 5 minutes to get to another another meeting. But I can do that. What's the address?
It's womenwhocount.co.uk.
It's quite old now, isn't it? It was 3 years old, is it?
Yeah, I know. I'm now thinking I should keep my mouth shut. There's going to be things.
Yes,
Okay.
there's bound to be.
Just reshare the screen then.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've never seen this site before at all. Right. Okay. Yeah, straight away, similar thing. Value proposition. It's telling me where what goes on here. It's bookkeeping and payroll, but does that meant to happen? But it doesn't have that. Why should I stick around and do it? We've talked enough about carousels, so leave that. Right, this bit I really like. So this is what's called a lead magnet. I'm assuming what happens is here I put my name and email in here, say yes please, and I receive this free ebook and get added to a mailing list. That's a really, really good way of getting people into your sales funnel who perhaps aren't ready. Using that same analogy I used earlier on, perhaps they're not ready to move in with you yet, but they are interested in finding out a bit more about you and going on a couple of dates. So by putting your details in here, you can then send them that free information they wanted, but you've then got them on the list and you can send them more useful information over a period of time. So as at the point when they are ready to change bookkeeper or get a bookkeeper, it's you they think of rather than someone else. I would actually try and make that a bit more visually prominent, this so as it stands out a bit more. Maybe even have it as a box that flies in separately or something like that, so it really grabs attention. Latest news, services. If we go into latest news, is this up to date? Because that's always a big thing, is a news section where the last bit of news was a year ago. You see straight away, I think, okay, 20th of March, that it says to me, okay, when was this last looked at? So it rightly or wrongly, if your news section isn't bang up to date, it suggests that your knowledge in your profession isn't necessarily bang up to date. I know they're two separate things, but in terms of the way people judge stuff, I think that's a danger to having a news section. Similarly, if you've got a blog section, only do that if you're actually going to commit to keeping up and blogging with stuff regularly. I'm reviewing someone's site at the moment, who's a recruitment consultant. And when I feed back to him, I'm going to say to him, I know what your New Year's resolution is every year, because his blog every year has 2 or 3 blogs published in January, then nothing till August, when there's like maybe another one then when he's quiet because everyone's on holiday, and then nothing again till January. So clearly every year he makes a resolution to blog, and it keeps it up for about 3 weeks. I'll
tell you what, they're just going backwards. The lead magnet that's on there, Sarah has got a good database actually, and we were sending out newsletters every week, and you were getting fantastic feedback from that. The open rate was phenomenal, like 50-60% open rate. But yeah, so we were updating newsletters and keeping people on the list updated, but yeah, not so much on the website.
For others who are wondering about that, definitely do not underestimate the importance of having a mailing list. People often think email is like old fashioned compared to sort of, newer, sexier things like social media and whatever. But actually email still has a far higher return on investment than any of those things. I think you might know the numbers, Simon. I think it's something like every £1 spent on email marketing brings back £38 in revenue or something like that. It's a staggeringly high amount. And I know in my business, pretty much no one ever comes to my website and gets in touch with me straight away and says, can you run some Google ads for me, or can you run some digital marketing for me? What they do is they come along, they download a free guide, they join the mailing list, and then at some point in the next 3 to 6 months, they'll email me and say, I've been getting your emails for a while, and the last one you sent me really struck a chord. I think we need to have a conversation. When can I talk to you? And they're then coming to me wanting to buy rather than me trying to sell to them. So the sooner you start building a list, the sooner you'll have that kind of pipeline of people built up.
Yeah, we've talked about on previous Coffee Moors a while ago, but email nurture campaigns. Sarah uses something called MailChimp.com. Very simple, very cheap to use. It's like it starts off like $10 a month or $15 for the automation one. It's really, really simple.
And just to, I'll have to go to this. I'm going to quickly look at one bookkeeping page. So again, I would just say a little bit, just a little bit. You could do it a bit more imagery, or just breaking up the text a bit into sections. The most prominent thing that comes out here is actually an advert for Xero. Yeah, that's what strikes me the most, is you're promoting Xero more than you're promoting your own services and your own brand, I would say, on this page. But what I do like is actually the stuff you need to draw out is actually here, because we see how we've now got a reason to take on a bookkeeper. It's about saving time. And that's the kind of stuff that wasn't on some of the other sites that we looked at. We've got empathy with the client. If you feel your financial accounts are in a mess, don't worry, you're not alone. So yeah, you have got a problem, but you're not the only one with this problem, and we're used to solving it. So that's the kind of formula that I think some of the other sites need in their copy. I would say what you need here is to just make the design a bit more impactful, so as that stuff is what comes out, rather than promoting Xero.